Hello, 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 hello. Happy Sunday. Um, if you can hear me, please, I want you to say hello in the comment section so that I know that you can hear me. Hello, happy Sunday. Can you hear me? Hello, 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 hello. Okay, so you can hear me, please. You can also put in the comment section where you're watching from. I know Moments with Tessie was here 348. I am now seeing Coco Ahiabo. That name is sounding like an Agbo name. Okay, happy Sunday. Yes, my person Udwa Kabasi. Thank you for joining. Mr. Korede from the UK, thank you for joining. Oh, from Late Bridge, Alberta. Mr. Ahiabo or Miss, I don't know whether it's Mr. or anyone, but thank you for joining me. So it's been a very sunny day today. And I'm very happy that the weather in New Brunswick is cooperating. So I don't know what the weather is like in Late Bridge. How is it like? Is there plenty snow or no snow? Is there plenty snow, Mr. Is it Mr. Ahiaba or Mr. Ayala? I don't know whether I don't know. Please forgive me if I'm giving you a wrong gender. How is the snow in Late Bridge? I ran away from the prairies. So in New Brunswick, there is no snow, and I am very happy about that. Adam from Zambia, thank you for joining me. Adeto Kumbo, thank you for joining me. Oh, no snow. Okay. Miss, okay, sorry, I was calling you Mister. I'm so sorry, Miss. No snow, Miss Ahiabo, no snow in Late Bridge, which is a very interesting news. Typically, we have snow in the prairies. Okay, Ademola, thank you for joining me. Sahid from Nigeria, thank you for joining me. Ibrahim from Sheffield, UK, thank you so much for joining me. While we wait for others to start, Mr. Olatunji, thank you for joining me as well. Yeah, Mr. Mbago Ifeanyi, thank you also for joining me today. Oh, Edna, thank you for joining me from Nainamo, BC, British Columbia. This is one province that I have not gone to. I've gone to almost all the provinces except British Columbia and the territories. That's Yukon territories, Northwest territories, and Nunavut. Those are the places I've not gone to. How can I be in Canada for 8 years and I've not gone to British Columbia? It's crazy. Oh, Dorothy from Fredericton. Yay! My people in our sweet New Brunswick. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Soto from UK. Thank you so much for joining me. Debbie from Nigeria. Thank you for joining me. And I'm so happy that you're here. And I won't waste too much of your time. I feel that we should just have our normal conversations about Canada immigration, what is happening. Olu from Niger, thank you so much for joining me. Olufunke from Winnipeg, thank you so much for joining me. Okay, you're the first person to be asking a question. Anyway, I'll answer the question. Should we start with questions? I thought we were supposed to talk about something first of all. I can't remember. We're supposed to have a conversation first before we proceed with the questions. But if you want me to go ahead with the questions, I can go ahead. I just want to quickly check what I wrote as topic. But I know that we're supposed to have. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're supposed to talk about Canada immigration 2025. What we need to know. But if you feel that we should just go ahead and start answering questions so that we can maximize the time, then I can go ahead and start the questions. Start answering the questions. Please put in the comment section questions, yes, or immigration topic. Which one? If it is questions, just put yes, or immigration topic, anyone. Okay, so moment with Tessie is saying I should start with questions. Questions is better. Okay, so if you have your questions, please go ahead and put them in the comment section. I'll start with the questions then. And then later on, we discuss, in between, we can discuss immigration topic, what to expect for 2025. Okay, so I will start with Olufunke in Winnipeg. Your question is, your sister is in Nigeria, BSc Sociology, 35 years plus. She owns a primary school. Please, which pathway would you recommend for her? Okay, because she owns a primary school, I believe she must have at least a qualification in education. And that reminds me, in my last YouTube live, I mentioned that you could get an Alberta license for a minimal amount. And I was supposed to, put on the community tab the link to where you could, just do 1 or 2 courses to get the license. But by the time I went back to get that link, I had to go through the authentic page where Alberta published all the schools that are eligible to give such educational, like the schools are supposed to teach those courses before you can then apply for the level 1 licensing. And I discovered that they had removed that particular is it training provider? I think it's a training provider. They've removed that particular training provider from the list. So that training provider is no longer at the list. That means I cannot recommend that particular training provider again. And I told myself that I probably should create a video for a pathway for those who are early childhood educators, what they need to know in terms of getting the license from Alberta and how they can use it to secure job offers, and also getting the license from BC. So it will be a pathway dedicated to, or a video dedicated to people who are early childhood educators, people who are nursery school teachers, people who are primary school teachers, how you can get the license. And just to add to that, the level 1 license, some of the institutions that are approved to provide the training, they are providing it for free. That's for the level 1 license, it is free. But for the level 2 and level 3 license, it's not free. So if you have, let's say, a teaching certificate or a training certificate, if your sister has a training certificate or a teaching certificate or an early childhood education certificate, instead of going for the level 1 license, which is free, it is better to go for the level 2 license. Now, with the level 2 license, she will need to send her transcript and all of that. Then the Alberta government would evaluate it and see if it aligns with their standard. If it does not align, they will recommend the courses that she needs to take so that it can align, and then they will give her the license. Once she gets the license, she can start applying for jobs in Alberta, especially under the rural renewal stream. But this is just a summary. So I'll do a separate video where I can explain it in details. Okay, so that is for your sister. So I'll move on to the next question. Can I apply for a visitor visa to Canada in 2025? Yes, you can apply for a visitor visa to Canada in 2025. The only challenge is that if you don't have a family member if you don't have a family member in Canada that is inviting you and you just want to come for tourism, the chances of approval is quite low. And the reason is because a lot of people were abusing the visitor visa pathway to Canada, and then a lot of people claimed asylum. That is why they want to now make it strict for people to get visitors visas. So if you don't have any family member in Canada inviting you, even if you have a family member in Canada inviting you, if you're not stable in your home country, if you don't have a good job, if you don't have a good business, if you don't have evidence that you are well stable in your home country, even if you have a family member, even if you have a sibling in Canada, they will not approve the application. So you have to package yourself in a proper way to show that you have some form of stability, you are working, you are employed, you're paying if you have a business, you're paying your taxes, you have your annual returns to show, you have proof of your business invoices, all these other documents to show that your business is a legitimate business, and your business should at least have an online presence, social media presence, website. If you don't have a website, but at least social media, Facebook, Instagram, you should show that you have all these things before you apply. For tourist visa, I am like I said, it's a 50-50 thing. They can approve it, they cannot approve it, even if you have a sibling or a cousin or anybody inviting you in Canada. For business visa, is a 50 thing as well. For conference visa, I am not sure. All these visas is a 50-50 rate. You can go ahead, there's no harm in applying, but just put it at the back of your mind that if you see a refusal, just know that it's because of the situation going on in Canada. That's why they are refusing visiting visas. But are they approving visas? Yes, they are approving visas. So it's just you deciding on whether you want to try or you just maybe want to leave it for a while until the whole climate. Because in 2025, there will be elections, and because there's election, all the announcements they've been making this year is because of the election that will hold in 2025. So I mean, you either you want to wait until the elections are over before you apply, or you can go ahead and apply and just try your luck. And I just want to also mention that visiting visa application is taking so much time these days. I've had cases where people are waiting as much as, in fact, 1 year now. One of my clients has been waiting for 1 year for a decision for their visiting visa application. So you could apply and you will not get a decision until maybe 1 year later. So please take note of that. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. I hope I don't jump anyone. I'll try as much as possible not to jump any question. Okay, is it possible to get work permit for a professional program such as CPA? I need more insights on how long it will last. Now, work permit, I won't lie to you. If people are promising you that there is job in Canada, it's tough getting a job. Not to talk of somebody who is outside Canada. But can you apply? You already have a CPA. If you have a CPA, go ahead and apply. But the thing I will tell you is this: if you're applying, don't just apply randomly. Apply to provinces that have immigration pathways tied to it. For instance, the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream, they have a permanent residence pathway attached to theirs. So if you're able to get a job offer in any of the rural communities in Alberta, automatically you're actually applying for permanent residence, or sorry, provincial nomination first before you apply for your work permit, because the community will give you endorsement. With that endorsement, you apply for provincial nomination. After you apply for provincial nomination, you apply for work permit. So if you want to search for a job, go ahead and search for a job. There is no harm in trying. I'll keep saying this: there is no harm in trying. Instead of me to say no, there is no possibility, I won't say that. I would say it is better you try. You try, and if you don't pull through, then you know you try. Sorry, I'm having a bit of cold. I don't know where this is coming from. Okay, so if you try and there is no traction in all of your applications, then you know you tried. But if you don't try at all, you might not know what you might be missing out on. I'll tell you for a fact, the rural areas, they are finding it difficult to attract people to those areas because most people do not want to stay in rural areas. Sorry. Oh God, I don't know where this code is coming from. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, the rural areas in Canada, they find it difficult to pull people to their location, because somebody who has settled in a place like Toronto, maybe Winnipeg, maybe Edmonton, maybe Saskatoon, Regina, Calgary, if you tell the person to go to one rural location because of work, the person will just be thinking, how will I not just start moving myself there? The logistics and all of that. So it is easier for somebody who is outside to be able to get a job offer, because the people inside are not interested in moving to those rural locations. It's only those who really want to get maybe their PR status and there's a pathway. Those are the people who are interested in moving to those rural locations. On a normal day, a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada will not just pick himself up and say, I want to go and live in a rural location, except maybe it's the government that is transferring them there and they have significant things to do there. That's why they go there. On a normal day, you will not see somebody like me. If you tell me, okay, go to so village, I will not go. The only time that I went to those rural areas is because of my husband, because of the work he was doing. That was why I was staying in those locations. But if you tell me, should I go and stay there on my own, I will not go. So you have a lot of people like me, except it is work that is carrying us there, right? So if you're looking for jobs, target rural areas, don't target cities. But as a CPA, I would also say, look at the top 100 companies list in Canada. Maybe I should do that list and just publish it on the tab as well, on the community tab. The top 100 companies in Canada. Those companies, there are lots of them that have an immigration department in these companies because they are used to hiring people from outside Canada. You know, they are used to applying for LMIs and hiring people from outside Canada. So go ahead and apply because you already have a CPA, and CPA is a very good qualification. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. I recently put to bed and I also finished my MSc. I am yet to apply for my PGW, please. Since I'm just out to bed, I cannot work. So in this case, how can my husband apply for his open work permit? Okay, so because you cannot work and you don't have a job offer and you are yet to apply for your PGWP, I would like to know how recent did you finish your program? Did you just finish your program, let's say, last week, right? If you just finished your program last week, you can still use your, because they've not issued you your, what do you call it now? Your final letter of confirmation letter that you have completed your program. If they've not issued it yet, you can use your current student status and apply for your husband's spousal open work permit. If it is recent and if they have not issued your your confirmation that you have completed your education, if they have not issued your certificate yet, you could use your student status so that your husband can quickly apply for his spousal open work permit as fast as possible. That means you have to print your transcript, you have to print that your letter of enrollment or letter of confirmation from the school that you're enrolled in school, and attach to your husband's application. Because if it is not as recent, that means you have to get a job first before your husband applies for open work permit. Sadly, your husband cannot apply for open work permit if you finished, let's say, 1 month ago. If you finished 1 month ago, it's already too late. I mean, because they must have issued all those documents to you, and you are now on a status where your husband cannot use it to apply for open work permit until you get a job offer, and then you are now applying for your PGWP. Okay, all right, I'll move on to the next question. I live in Belgium. I have the Belgian nationality. I would like to immigrate to Canada with my family. I have a master in criminology. Which procedure or which city is better for me to immigrate? Okay, this is a good question. If you live in Belgium, I know Belgium, they speak French and one other language. And I believe you must be bilingual for you to be able to live in Belgium, right? But if you're not bilingual, it means that you have to follow the pathway that every other person is following. But if you are bilingual, if you can speak French very well, then there are options for you to immigrate to Canada as a Francophone person. The first option is the express entry category-based route for French. That means you still have to write the TEF or TCF exam and also evaluate your credentials and enter the pool. And then when they do the French draw, they can invite you. And then you're also eligible for the Ontario French pathway as well. If Ontario conducts their French draw, they can also invite you. For Manitoba, once in a while, they announce when they will invite Francophone people. Once they do that announcement, sometimes I do mention it on this channel that Manitoba is now inviting people that can speak French. So once they do that, they will invite you for an exploratory visit. You come for the exploratory visit. If you like Manitoba, you go ahead and put in your application or your expression of interest, and then you get the provincial nomination. That's for Manitoba. Then there's one other province as well. Okay, New Brunswick used to do what we call the strategic initiative, but they've paused it. It's a pathway where French people come to visit New Brunswick, and then after the exploratory visit, they apply for what do you call it now? Provincial nomination. They apply, and then New Brunswick gives them provincial nomination based on their French language skills, right? That's New Brunswick. Then the last one is, I think it's Northwest Territories. I will confirm that. I don't know whether it's Northwest Territories or Yukon. Either of the two territories, they have their French stream, where you apply to them and then you get provincial nomination. Apart from that, the government of Canada also has what we call Destination Canada. Now, with Destination Canada, It's an opportunity or a forum where you can meet employers who are looking for people with bilingual skills. So it's just for you to attend that forum. They sometimes do it in November, December, January, February, March, anytime. I will also publish the details on the community tab. Please, I need someone to remind me of all these things I said I will publish so that I can put them so that I don't forget, because I have a lot of things on this head. Okay, so for Destination Canada, it's just for you to register. They will invite you, you attend the forum, and then if you meet an employer that will hire you, the employer hires you, and you come into Canada, you don't need to apply for the employer does not need to apply for LMIA, because anybody that has French language skills is exempt from applying for LMIA, especially if you get a job offer. So that is why I most times encourage people to learn French language, because any employer that is hiring you does not need to apply for LMIA. The employer hires you, you get the job offer, you apply for your work permit, you're coming to Canada. They are not paying for LMIA, and you don't need LMIA to apply for work permit. Once you come in, depends on the province you go to, you become eligible for provincial nomination. Okay, so that's what I can suggest. Because I don't know if you are bilingual, I'm suggesting the one that is suitable for somebody who is bilingual, because I feel that for you to be living in Belgium, you should at least be able to speak the French language. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. If someone registers a name with CRA as a sole proprietor and employs someone from Nigeria, will the person pay tax for the employee, or his income tax covers up for everybody? Yes, the person will pay income tax for the employee. You will pay income tax, and then you will pay, what do you call it now? CPP and EI. So all those CPP and EI deductions that you do from the person's salary, you remit it back to CRA, and then you also contribute, and then you will still pay tax. You know, at the end of the year, you still contribute your own portion to CRA. Sadly, it is like that. That's CRA for you. Okay, so next question. Is it possible to get study permit for a professional program such as CPA or PCP? I need more insight on how long it will last. Yes, it's possible to get a study permit, but some of the schools, the way they do it, they are not like, there's one school in, what do you call it now, in Alberta, that is tied to the CPA program, and they do it in such a way that you will not pay any fee, that you will not pay any tuition deposit, nothing like that, until you get your visa to come and do the CPA. And from what I know, RCC has been refusing people who are not paying tuition fees. So it's quite tricky, right? The school is saying, no, don't pay until you get your study permit. Meanwhile, RCC is looking out for people who are not paying school fees and just refusing their applications. So you have to negotiate with the school. And if you want the details, you can also send me an email so that I can send it to you. The link to the school that is partnered with CPA to provide CPA classes. And if you want to do it from outside Canada, you can also do it from outside Canada as well. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. My cousin, early 40 with over 10 years teaching experience, preferred route. Over 10 years teaching experience, is it at the secondary level or at the primary level or at the nursery level? Because I would like to know the level of, I mean, what has he been, who has he been teaching? Has he been teaching secondary school students? That will help me give you an appropriate answer. At the beginning of this video, or at the beginning of this live, I did mention the pathway for early childhood educators, those who have been teaching daycare people, kindergarten, nursery school, primary school people. And I said I was going to create a video to explain how they can get their license and use the license to search for jobs in provinces like Alberta and British Columbia. The reason why I mentioned these two provinces is because early childhood educators are in demand in BC. They are also in demand in Alberta as well. So it's just a function of which level of teaching experience does it have? Is it at the primary level or at the nursery level or at the secondary level? If you can provide that detail, then I'll be able to answer that. Okay, electrical engineer and have HND, please, what route best suits for your occupation? Electrical engineer with HND. I don't know your age for me to give you the route that is best suitable, but typically, so this is it. As an electrical engineer, you can there is a career path that you can claim. You can claim that you're an electrical technician, right? Even though you have a bachelor's degree in engineering, a HND in engineering, you can also work as an electrician. And if you are working as an electrician, it means that you qualify for the category-based draw for trades, right? You qualify for trades. And it depends on your age, because I don't know what your age is for me to say whether you'll be eligible to create an express entry profile. If your age is above a certain age bracket and you're not able to create an express entry profile, that means you will not qualify for the trades category. It means you have to start looking for provincial nomination. And provincial nomination for your occupation most times comes with you looking for a job. You have to get a job offer. And for you to get a job offer, you have to you have to get what you call either the red seal qualification for electrician, right? As an electrical engineer, you cannot work because it's a regulated occupation. You cannot work in Canada because it's a regulated occupation. So, but if you want to go to the lower skill, you have to get the red seal certificate. And for you to get the red seal certificate, you have to come to Canada to come and write some exams. And when you write the exams, you get the red seal certificate. You can then use it to get a job offer. By the time you get the job offer, you can qualify for provincial nomination, depending on the province you go to. So there are provinces like Ontario and Saskatchewan that typically invite tradespeople. They invite tradespeople to come and write the exam. I know there is one guy that followed me, and I did a video about Saskatchewan, how people with trades qualification can apply to Saskatchewan and get the invitation letter from Saskatchewan to come and challenge the trades exam. So once you challenge the trades exam and you're successful, you get the red seal qualification or another qualification. And then with that, if you get a job offer, you apply for provincial nomination, depending on the province you go to. So as an electrical engineer, that's how, it's not like a straightforward path for you. But if you tell me your age, I'll be able to tell you if you're able to create an express entry profile and go through the express entry category-based draw for trades that does not require a job offer, or you come in as a visitor to challenge the exam and then get a job offer before you apply for provincial nomination. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. What other pathways are available for people that write French aside from the express entry? I did mention Ontario provincial nomination. I mentioned Manitoba under the strategic initiative. They usually announce it once in a while. And then I mentioned New Brunswick as well. I would have said Quebec, but Quebec, they are having scores on their head. They're having some slight knots on their head. So I'm not going to mention Quebec, right? Then either Yukon or Northwest Territories. I would put the details on the community tab. Either of the two. One of them has a provincial nomination pathway. But I can check and reconfirm so that before this live ends, I will tell you which one of them. So those are the pathways for French. And then the Destination Canada that I talked about, where you register, they will invite you to come and attend a virtual job fair. It's a virtual recruitment fair where you meet employers that are looking for French candidates, French bilingual candidates. And if they hire you, you can apply for work permit. It is an LMIA exempt route. Anybody that has French language skills and gets a job offer does not need LMIA to apply for work permit. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. Which options are available to someone with open work permit to transmit to PRO in New Brunswick? So if you have an open work permit and you want to become a permanent resident in New Brunswick, there are several options. We have the skilled worker route, right? If you're not a student, it will be the student. If you are a student, it will be the student connection route. But if you're not a student, you have the skilled worker route. You have the Atlantic immigration pilot route. You have the critical worker pilot route. Now, for the skilled worker route, it was closed because they reached their cap as fast as possible. And then the Atlantic immigration pilot route also was recently closed sometime in November. Then we have the New Brunswick critical worker pilots. Now, for the new process critical worker pilot, it's still open. That's the only one that is still open now. What you need to do is just to get a job offer from 6 of the employers that have been selected under that route. If you get a job offer with them, then you apply for provincial nomination, and then you apply for permanent residence with that. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. I'm intended of applying for PhD in supply chain and logistics in the University of Manitoba or Memorial University, NFL, but I want to ask whether it is worth it and eligible for PR. So, supply chain and logistics. Number one, do you know that if you apply for this program, you will need a supervisor? I feel that you will need a supervisor before you get the admission. Now, if you come to Manitoba, right, it is worth it. You can get your PR. You can come with your spouse, and your spouse can even get your PR for your family before you even finish your PhD, because PhD is a 4 years program. So if you come with your spouse and your spouse is working, especially in Manitoba, I'm talking about Manitoba, not Newfoundland and Labrador. Now, if you come to Manitoba with your spouse gets a job offer. Within 6 months, your spouse becomes eligible to apply for provincial nomination, and then she can get the PR while you are still a student. So it's a 4 years program. The target is come with your spouse, and then your spouse should be able to get your PR for your family while you're still a student. So if you go to Newfoundland and Labrador, it's the same thing as well. If you're a PhD, your spouse will become eligible for either the Atlantic Immigration Program or the Newfoundland Skilled Worker Program. And then after 6 months, she also applies for provincial nomination and then becomes a permanent resident while you're still a student. So both provinces is the same. But in terms of job opportunities, I'm not sure of Newfoundland and Labrador, but I'm sure of Manitoba. Job opportunities are more in Manitoba. I'm not sure of Newfoundland and Labrador because I've not lived there for me to say, okay, yes, there are jobs in supply chain, right? If you're looking at the long-term benefit of the kind of jobs you will get, I'm not sure. For NFL, I'm sure for Manitoba. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. A bit confused about pathway that will be suitable for you. Truck driver here in Nigeria. Okay, so if you're a truck driver in Nigeria, the pathway that would have been suitable, sadly, there was an internal memo saying that they will pause that particular pathway. And that would have been the transportation pathway under the category-based draw express entry. That would have been the most suitable pathway. But besides that, apart from that, Saskatchewan used to have a pathway for truck drivers. Manitoba also used to have a pathway for truck drivers, but Saskatchewan have scrapped their own. Manitoba has also scrapped its own. So there is actually no province that has a pathway at the moment for truck drivers. None. If there is, I would let you know. But as far as I know, the ones that they were there, they've scrapped it. It's part of the programs that they've scrapped. Saskatchewan have scrapped its own. Manitoba has also scrapped its own. Ontario is not. Ontario, you need a job offer. And it's not even in the in-demand stream. So I wouldn't call that as part of what is eligible. So, but I would, if there is, or I would do research for truck drivers, pathways for truck drivers, and I'll create a video about it. But for what I know now, the ones that were there, they've scrapped it. They are no longer there anymore. And then the category-based draw for transportation especially transportation, has now been paused. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. What pathway is best to immigrate to Canada for an unskilled worker? I don't have any degree. I'm in Paris, France with France resident, and I have work experience as dishwasher 5 years. Okay, so you don't have any degree. The question is, can you speak French? If you can speak French, and if you have your secondary education, your secondary qualification, right? You can also still immigrate because they are still looking for dishwasher. They are looking for dishwasher. The other day, Quebec was saying that they are looking for butchers in Quebec. So as long as you can speak French, you can get a job offer that can bring you into Canada, and with that job offer, you can also apply for provincial nomination and become a permanent resident. but it means that you actually have to upgrade. You have to upgrade to something else. Just being dishwasher alone is not enough. If you want to upgrade, I would say you upgrade to maybe a butcher or something, upgrade, and then you get more value and more, what do you call it now? You get more value in terms of employers looking for you. But just dishwasher alone is not sufficient. So I would say you should upgrade. Okay. Share the link for application of level 2 EC certificate. Okay, I said I will do a video about it. I'll do a video about it so I can have it. Can a person with a Canada student visa enter express entry pool, previous experience, diploma, not in Ghana? Yes. You can go into the pool. If you're a student in Canada, still a student, please do not waste your time waiting for when you finish your program. Create your profile and be in the express entry pool. Use your experience from your home country to create your profile. You don't need to finish your program before you create your profile. And I need to mention this. You don't need to finish your program before you get your PR. There are people who are eligible for permanent residence who are still students, and they should have gotten their PR only if they were strategic. I have one person who got her PR when she was still a student in Canada. She got a permanent resident approved when she was still a student in Canada. So if you are eligible and you meet the requirements of becoming a PR, you don't wait for when you finish your program before you apply. Go ahead and create your profile. All right, I'll move on to the next. From Lagos, will be 43 by January, and I wrote CELPIP in October, 6, 6, 10, 7. Evaluated West in 2020, MSc in transport. Okay, so because of your age, sadly, you might not be able to create your express entry profile because you have 6 in reading, 6 in listening. You will not be able to create your express entry profile because of your age. It will kick you out of the system. If you're able to get a very high score within the range of 10, 11, 12, right? 10, 11, 12. If you do CELPIP and you get 10, 11, 12, then you'll be able to create your profile. But anything below 10, 11, 12, you will not be able to create your profile. So I would recommend you retake the IELTS again, or add French. Start learning French. If you want to create your profile and you have French language skills added, you will be able to create it. But with only English language skills, you will not be able to create your profile. So I would recommend that you start learning French. If you get a job offer via rural renewal stream, will you be required to show POF as part of the requisite documents for PR application? Yes, you have to show proof of funds. It's a requirement. So once you get a job offer, depends on the community anyway. What I mean by you showing your proof of funds is once you get the endorsement from the community and then you're applying for provincial nomination, you have to show your proof of funds at that point in time. But when you're applying to the community, you don't need to show your proof of funds, especially under the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. For the communities, you don't need to show your proof of funds. But once you get the community endorsement and then you're applying for provincial nomination, you have to show your proof of funds. Okay, I'll move on to the next. A brother has a BSc in political science in Nigeria, drives for an embassy, wants a driver delivery job in Canada. Which province can he apply? Delivery jobs, I won't lie to you. There is before, or not, well, not before, people are still doing it now. That industry has been saturated by the Indians. Most of the taxi companies all over Canada are owned or partially owned by Indians. So if your brother is looking for a delivery job, it will be difficult to get from outside Canada because the owners, people who are operating such businesses, they are mostly Indians and they want to employ people from their country. But there is no harm in trying, right? There's no harm in trying. It's just that these days, such jobs will require LMIA. And of course, the government is not approving LMIA as much as they used to approve LMIA before. They are now denying LMIAs. A lot of people who have applied for LMIAs, they are denying them because they want to conserve the jobs for Canadians and There's been a lot of noise that, oh, there is no job in Canada, there's no job. So because of that, now anybody who is applying for LMIA to bring somebody from outside Canada to come and do that job, they are denying those people their LMIA. So I would recommend that he pivots to another occupation instead. There are other occupations that you can pivot to. Any of the trades occupation, maybe like plumbing, carpentry, electrician. If you can pivot into that, there is demand for such occupations. Okay, so your question again, having a side hustle as a nursing assistant in one hospital, please advise. Okay, so you booked for another CELPIP in 2025. Like I said, pass the CELPIP very well. Don't let none of the scores go below 10. If you're able to pass the CELPIP very well and you have, let's say, 12-11 for the CELPIP, it's possible to create a profile. And for you doing a side hustle as a nursing assistant, it's possible, but if it's your side hustle, do you have a qualification? That's a certificate to back it up. Is there a certificate to back up your nursing assistant qualification? I mean, if you don't have a certificate to back it up and you want to claim that you were a nursing assistant so that you can be eligible for the category-based draw for healthcare, you will encounter problems if there is no certificate to back it up. So you need to have a certificate to back your nursing assistant experience. Okay. So you said you just finished this week. Yes, please quickly go. If it's possible to apply today, please go ahead and apply today. Apply as in for your husband to apply today using your current documents, because you're still a student. They've not issued the letter of completion of your studies yet. So go ahead, get your enrollment letter. The recent enrollment letter, like the recent one that you printed, not the one of September, October. There should be a recent enrollment for this December, plus your unofficial transcripts. Add those two documents and let your husband apply for spousal open work permit. Okay, can I do Xmas bonus discount? Oh geez, this one that I'm doing, right, is Christmas bonus and discount. For me to be coming every day to be answering immigration questions, is Christmas bonus and discount that I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it for 30 days, and then I'm coming on live, right, to answer questions which ordinarily I will just sit in my house, you book, and then we discuss. So this is the discount and the bonus I'm doing for everybody. It's not easy creating time to create videos every day for the past 14 days. I'll tap myself. I've never done, like, I have tried. I'm giving myself a tap on the back that I have tried. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. What are the chances of getting a visitor visa approval within Canada? It's very high. If you get it, if you are still within status and you want to apply for a visitor's visa, it's very high. You can get it approved. Very, very high. Okay. Must you get a job offer after you graduate from a study in Canada before you apply for visa? Yes, I have. Okay, I've explained this, that if you came alone, you don't need a job offer to apply for PGWP. The only thing you need is your CELPIP scores, your language scores, your IELTS scores to apply for PGWP. But if you came with your spouse and your spouse is on spousal open work permit, you need to have a job offer before you apply for your PGWP, before your spouse can also extend his own SOWP, right? So that's the condition. But if your spouse is not here, you're here alone, you don't need a job offer to apply for PGWP. But if your spouse is here with you on a spousal open work permit, you need a job offer. Okay, you don't speak French. So sadly, if you don't speak French, the options that are available is the same option for everybody. Everybody is trying to find a pathway, and I need to know what your CELPIP scores are. Unfortunately, you study criminology. Criminology is in demand in Alberta. That is the only province that has it in demand. Like, they have a pathway for law enforcement officers. I don't know whether you are working as a law enforcement person in Belgium. Sorry, I'm answering another question. Another person's what do you call it is there. So let me put her on. I had mentioned that if you had studied French, or if you speak French, that means you're eligible for the French pathway. And I mentioned all the French pathways. But if you can't speak French, just like you are saying now, The only province that you're eligible for is Alberta. They have a law enforcement pathway. The question is, are you working as a law enforcement officer in Belgium? If you are working as a law enforcement officer in Belgium, that means you qualify for the law enforcement pathway in Alberta, but you need a job offer to qualify for that. If you have a job offer with the law enforcement people in Alberta, then you can apply for provincial nomination under the law enforcement pathway. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. Have a band 5.5 as a caregiver. Can I still make use of it, though I am here to get a job offer? Yes, depends on what you want. What do you want to use it for? Like the 5.5 now, for which pathway are you looking at? Are you looking at the caregiver pathway? If it's the caregiver pathway, yes, you are eligible with that score, because the minimum requirement for caregiver pathway is band 4. So you have a 5.5, that means you're eligible. The only thing you should be looking out for is someone to give you a job offer. Okay, so I'll jump some questions and move on to the ones that. Okay, if you're in Canada and a visit visa, can you flagpole to change your study permit? Yes, you can flagpole to change your study permit once your study permit is approved. I have one of my clients that did that, right? So if you are in Canada on a visitor's visa and you applied for your study permit inside Canada, once they approve your study permit, you take the study permit letter, that's the port of entry letter of introduction, take it to the nearest land border and flagpole and get your study permit documents and come inside Canada. But they usually ask for some documents, like if you've paid your tuition, if you have your living expense and all of that, because that's what my client, when she went to the border to flagpole, they told her to show her proof of funds at the border before they allowed her in, or before they gave her the study permit document itself. So you can flagpole, but carry your documents, your proof of funds documents as well when you're going to the border. Okay, I just secured a full-time job as a residential support worker. My employer is willing to give me a support letter. Would that make me eligible to apply for BCPMP? So as a residential support, I need to know what your tier code is as a residential support. We need to look at your job description and determine what your tier code is. When we determine your tier code, we'll now be able to determine which pathway you're eligible for BCPMP, because BCPMP has lots of pathways. There's the high skill pathway, there's the low skill pathway, there's the healthcare worker pathway, right? There's the tech talent pathway. So I need to know what your tier code is, and we need to see what your job description is for us to determine your tier code. Okay. So question, is the Atlantic Immigration Program still ongoing? Yes, the Atlantic Immigration Program is a permanent program. It's now a permanent program. It used to be a pilot. And let me mention this. So when Canada wants to test a pilot, a program, they call it pilots, right? They will test it for a few years. If it is successful, when I mean successful, the people that were given PR, they are staying there. They have not moved. The people that are living there, they are happy with the people there, right? Then they will now make it a permanent program. So Atlantic Immigration Pilot was a 5 years pilot that is now a permanent immigration pathway. So it's a permanent program. There's no end anymore. Anybody that gets a job offer under the Atlantic Immigration Program can apply for permanent residence. Okay. Can you get your PR after studying additional and mental health graduate program? So PR is a function of you qualifying for permanent residence, right? It's not because you studied. You studying is giving you points, and depends on the province you live in. So if you live in a province like, let's say, Ontario, you also qualify to apply for the Ontario Occupation in Demand stream. So it depends on the province you live in. Your studies gives you points and qualifies you to apply for PR. You have to do other things like evaluating your credentials and writing the language exams to qualify for permanent residence. You can also qualify for the express entry as well, based on what you studied, and if you have a job offer as well. Okay. Is the Atlantic immigration PR for students still going on for students? Yes, it is. It is still going on for students. So if you school in any of the Atlantic provinces like Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, and you get a job offer from an AIP employer, you qualify for the AIP pathway. So that's one thing I need to mention here. A lot of students who are studying in these provinces, they still get stuck thinking that, oh, I still have to go through the provincial nomination. No, look for an employer that can endorse you under the AIP program. And if you get the employer that can endorse you, you apply for your permanent residence. You don't need to be stressing yourself trying to see whether you can create an express entry profile and then you're stuck. You're not able to create a profile and then you don't know what to do. Please target employers that are under the Atlantic immigration program that can give you endorsement. Critical factor to know is, can they give you endorsement? If they can give you endorsement, fine. If they cannot give you endorsement, then you look for another employer. Okay, my cousin is currently studying or working at primary level, but trained from nursery to secondary. Okay, if your cousin is working at a primary level, right? Primary level has its own qualification. It has its own what do you call it now, certification or licensing that they will need. So what will happen is this: I'll just create a video that will explain the licensing requirements for teachers at the primary level, at the nursery level, and at the secondary level, and how they can use it to immigrate, and the provinces that are looking for them. You know, at the primary level, there is really, well, the only time I know that they invited teachers was actually, it was even New Brunswick that did it. New Brunswick invited teachers at one time. And I'm not sure any other province has actually invited teachers apart from New Brunswick. Okay, I'll move on to the next. I think I've answered this question before. Nurse, more than 5 years experience and would like to open the EE profile. Do I need to register at the nursing council? No, well, I typically recommend you start, you try to do your NNAS, right? Try to register with the NNAS. It will help you with getting provincial nomination from some provinces like Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, these three provinces. If you register with NNAS and you're trying to evaluate your credentials, it will accelerate opportunities for you. But if you want to create your profile without registering, yes, you can go ahead and create a profile. You qualify for the category-based draw for healthcare. Okay. Chemical engineer with 5 years work experience in Nigeria. Does my experience in Nigeria count when applying for a job in chemical engineering in Canada or applying for a PR? Anything engineering is a licensed occupation, is a regulated occupation. Anything engineering, which means if you come to Canada, you cannot get a job offer as a chemical engineer directly until you get your license or you get your certificate recognized. So you have to register with the engineering body, and then you do in some situations you don't need to write any exams. Some situations you might write 1 or 2 exams, and then you get qualified as an engineer, as a chemical engineer in Canada before you can start working as a chemical engineer in Canada. So these occupations like engineering, medicine, nursing, like, I don't know whether anyway, there are some occupations that does not need licensing, right? But a lot of occupations require licensing before you can work in that capacity. Now, in terms of applying for permanent residence, chemical engineering is not really in demand, especially for permanent residence. It's not in demand in any province. That's the truth. It's not in demand in any province. If it was in demand, I would have told you, okay, it's in demand in so province. So since it is not in demand, the best thing I can advise is which other low-skilled occupation under chemical engineering that you think you can do or you have been doing that you can use to qualify for other immigration pathways. So you have to look at your experience for the past 10 years. What other things have you been doing for the past 10 years that you could use to immigrate besides the chemical engineering occupation? Okay, next question. Cameroon husband has a diploma in medical imaging. Which pathway is best way for him? So medical imaging, still healthcare category based draw. Ontario, um, human capital pathway. Which other province again? Saskatchewan. But Saskatchewan needs a job offer. For Saskatchewan, if you get a job offer in Saskatchewan, fine. So medical imaging, like I said, the healthcare category based draw, the Ontario human capital pathway, these two does not need a job offer. But Saskatchewan provincial nomination needs a job offer. British Columbia as well. I'm going to mention British Columbia as well. It also needs a job offer. For Manitoba, no, except that there are two community, and well, medical imaging is not in those two communities, so there's no point mentioning those two communities when they are not, when it's not eligible. I think so, yeah. Okay, carer in the UK over 40 years, any route that I can move in 2025. So as a carer, the option that I can recommend is looking for a job under the Atlantic Immigration Program. That is, you look for a job in New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. In fact, that reminds me, there is Nova Scotia is actually doing a recruitment at the moment, an international recruitment at the moment, and I will share the link. I know I've said so many things that I said I'm going to share. Please, I don't know if somebody can just help me, probably email what the things I have said, or let me just quickly put it down. I will share the link for that particular recruitment. It's an international recruitment for healthcare workers, carers, nurses, and all of that. So if you're a nurse, if you're a nursing assistant, if you're a carer, watch out for the link on the community tab. I'll put the link, and if you're eligible, go ahead and apply. It's an international recruitment that comes with a job offer, and then once you apply, you get a job offer, then you come in, you work for some time, and then you're able to get provincial nomination. So I will share the link after this session. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm taking my I'm taking my flowers. Thank you so much, my people. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll move on to the next. Is it advisable to come to Canada to study for a master's in athletics at Northwestern University in Toronto campus, or an MBA at McMaster University, especially if I'm relying on um I didn't see the relying on part. Okay, so I will answer that question. Now, Northeastern University is a private university. I don't know whether you are aware of that. It's a private university, and it's not one of the universities that is eligible for the Ontario Masters stream. But McMaster University is eligible for the Ontario Masters stream. And because McMaster University is eligible for the Ontario Masters stream, I will recommend the McMaster University compared to Northeastern University. That is because you don't want to go and study in a school that will put you in a position where you are not eligible for any immigration program by the time you finish, except maybe express entry. The goal is to have at least multiple options. If express entry is one option, then you have another option. You shouldn't be relying on one option to get your PR. So Northeastern University, no. McMaster University, yes. But just give me some seconds. Let me confirm that. McMaster University is one of the universities eligible for Ontario provincial nomination. Hold on. I think yeah, McMaster University is there. So go for McMaster University. Don't go for Northeastern University. Northeastern University is not eligible, so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. Okay, so I there are so many questions that I've not answered. I don't know what happened though. Okay. Okay, so I am currently studying environmental engineering in Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Will the present changes affect me after schooling in getting my PR? No, the present changes will not affect you in any way. It will not affect you as long as you're already schooling in Canada. It doesn't affect you. Okay, next question. Student loan to cover tuition. Which option might be better for securing employment and supporting myself after graduation? Which option might be better for securing employment? Well, I don't know. Are you saying that you need information concerning student loans to cover your tuition? Because if after graduation you secure employment, you can support yourself as long as you've graduated, right? If you get employment, you're able to support yourself. Sorry, I'm not clear about that question, so I don't know. Okay, can a certificate graduate of a college in welding tech in Manitoba use his PGWP to apply for SOW for his wife, children? No, as long as the rule that was in force, I think this was the last video I did, which is yesterday, the one I uploaded yesterday. As long as you came in as a certificate holder, you came to study a certificate program, and your spouse was not eligible for spousal open work permit, your spouse will still not be eligible for spousal open work permit, even when you're applying for PGWP. If you came with a master's program, then fine, your spouse is eligible to apply for a spousal open work permit. All right, so I'll move on to the next. Kitchen helper. Okay, so if you have been working as a kitchen helper, you have HACCP, yeah, you need a job offer. You need a job offer to be able to come in. Like I said, Destination Canada is a forum where you just go, you meet an employer, they can hire you and then process your work permit for you. It is not an LMIA kind of work permit. Then, okay, sorry, let me also mention that if you need a pathway to become a permanent resident without coming as a worker, you need to get a job offer or search for jobs in the rural communities in Alberta or the rural communities in Ontario, especially the French-speaking rural communities in Ontario, like maybe Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie. These two communities, they are French-speaking communities. Also look for communities in New Brunswick is a bilingual province, right? So look for job offers from employers that are under the Atlantic Immigration Program. If you have your secondary education, evaluate your secondary education. If you get a job offer under any of the AIP, with any of the AIP employers, you can apply for your permanent residence and then apply for work permits to come and start working. Okay. Is it possible for someone without a secondary school education to apply for PR in Canada? Well, there are situations where you can apply for PR without showing your educational qualification. Number one is if you get a spouse. If you get a spouse that is a Canadian permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, you can apply for permanent residence without your educational qualification. Number two, if you're coming to claim asylum, you don't need to show your educational qualification to claim asylum. Those are the two instances where you are exempt. Or sponsorships. Number three, sponsorships as well. So if you have a family member in Canada that does not have any family member at all living with them in Canada, that's the condition. That's, let's say you have a brother in Canada and the brother is not married, does not have any child, does not have nobody, right? And you in Nigeria, you do not have anybody, there's no other family member, you're the only one, then your brother can sponsor you. It is only in that instance, right? These three instances: a spouse, spousal sponsorship, family sponsorship, and then asylum. Those are the instances where you don't need an educational qualification to apply for permanent residence. Okay, I'll move on to the next. RNIP, no, RNIP is not opened yet. It's still paused. They've not opened it yet. They've not made any announcement concerning RNIP. Well, go search for jobs. You can just Google Newfoundland and Labrador jobs, and if you see a job offer that aligns with your qualifications, you can go ahead and apply. Okay, single mother of a kid, read sociology, which can I apply for? I don't know your age for me to tell you what you qualify for, if you qualify for express entry or not. Sociology is broad, right? And then what have you been working as? If you tell me what you've been working as, I can recommend a pathway for you. Okay, bears with Udemy though. I mean, Udemy certificates are really not recognized though. I'll tell you the truth. Udemy certificates, they are really not recognized. I think I've answered that question. College certified nursing assistant with a full-time job in a personal care home in Manitoba. You have very high chances of actually getting provincial nomination. Where are you located? So if you're located outside Winnipeg, you qualify for the rural stream. It's still under the occupations demand as Manitoba skilled workers in Manitoba, skilled workers in Manitoba stream, but you have to be living outside Winnipeg and working outside Winnipeg, working for an employer outside Winnipeg to apply for your provincial nomination. So your chances are high in applying for provincial nomination as long as you are living in Manitoba. But like I said, if you're applying for the provincial nomination, you should be living outside Winnipeg, because this particular occupation, is it nursing assistant? Okay, you say you're a nursing assistant in a personal care home. Now, nursing assistant, personal support worker, healthcare aid, those occupations are classified for the rural. There's a rural stream that it is classified for. So you have to be outside to get the, what do you call it now, the provincial nomination, or to get the letter of advice to apply. Okay. Are you able to confirm if the investment option for bringing fresh funds into Canada can obtain PR? I think it's similar to the business immigration pathway. So business immigration, there are different options. There is the startup visa immigration, which was becoming popular at some point, and then Canada had to put a cap on it. Like each designated incubator will now take 10. And then you have the provincial business immigration option. Then for Alberta, there's the Alberta graduate stream, where you just, if you're a graduate and you want to become an entrepreneur, you can also apply for provincial nomination through that stream. I mean, I think almost all the provinces except Ontario have a business immigration stream. Ontario have paused their own. For Manitoba, the business immigration stream is also there. The student entrepreneur stream is also there. So for the investments, in terms of bringing fresh funds into Canada to obtain PR, depends on the pathway. Are you talking about the startup visa pathway, or you're talking about the provincial nomination? Because for the startup visa, that is the only federal entrepreneurial immigration pathway. The others are tied to the provinces, you know. So please clarify which one. Is it the startup you're referring to, or you're referring to another one? Okay, when was the new policy of getting spousal open work permit extension approval? Spousal open work permit extension. Sorry, please clarify your question again. Have you applied for spousal? Okay, are you a spouse of a student, right? And you want to extend your spousal open work permit? Please clarify that if you're a spouse of a student that wants to apply for the extension of your spousal open work permit, your spouse, who is the student and apply for PGWP, must have a job offer for you to be able to extend your spousal open work permit. Okay. to go for PMP instead of going through the express entry. For PMP, most of the PMP will require a job offer. So for PMP, if you're looking for PMP, British Columbia requires a job offer. Alberta requires a job offer. If you're looking for the other immigration route, that's the Atlantic Immigration Program, it requires a job offer. Saskatchewan requires a job offer. So if you want to use your nursing assistant qualification to get PR, you have to look for a job. And I'm going to say this, I've said it before, that people who claim to be nursing assistants from Nigeria, most times the visa officers do not want to believe you. They hardly believe you. But if you claim to be a nursing assistant in UK, US, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, they will believe your qualification. They will believe your experience. But Nigeria, they hardly believe such experiences, right? So you have to provide extensive documents to really support that you actually work as a nursing assistant. Extensive documents in that regard. Okay. Oh, congratulations. So yeah, the latest PR that we have. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. So I'll move on to the next. Can a couple apply for EE separately while listing their spouse as secondary applicants, thus each having their EE profiles? Yes. You can, your spouse, if she's eligible for EE, let's say under the category-based drop for healthcare, she can go ahead and create her profile. If you are eligible for category-based draw for French, go ahead and create a profile. Whoever gets an invitation first will be the applicant, and then you apply for a permanent residence. The other person can withdraw their application. So there's nothing stopping a couple from creating their own independent application for permanent residence. Can you acquire as a butcher to qualify? You on either express entry. So as a butcher, you do not qualify for express entry, but you qualify for provincial nomination in Ontario. Butchers are in demand. Butcher or meat cutter is one of the occupations that is in demand in Ontario. So you qualify. In terms of certification, there are, certifications, vocational schools provide such trainings. And today, I even saw it. Some schools do also some, what do you call it now? Some, how will I put it? Like, if you want to come as a student to come and study meat processing, there are schools that provide that course. And Francophone College is one of them. Unfortunately, the tuition is so high. And I'm like, why would they be putting such high tuition fees for somebody to come and study just meat cutting or meat processing or food processing or something like that? Tuition is about 17,000 Canadian dollars in Francophone College. I'm looking for other options, cheaper options. If I see cheaper options, I'll publish it. For now, the one I know, Assiniboine College has, I don't know what the tuition, Assiniboine College in Manitoba, I don't know what the tuition is, but I'm going to publish it. I'm looking for cheaper options, the one that people can afford, where you don't need to spend 6 months to learn how to be a butcher. Let's say you spend, 6 months, 8 months. If you spend 3 months or 4 months, become a butcher, get a job offer, especially in Ontario, you qualify for the Ontario in-demand stream. Okay, I'm a software engineer for 9 years. I want to get my PRO through EE, but scores were pretty high. Should I try another pathway? Yes, try another pathway. Don't rely on express entry because it can, it's been high for this year, it's been high. So if you can get provincial nomination, and I know that the tech pathway for a long time now, they've not done a draw. If you can pivot to another occupation, especially the occupations that are in demand, it will help you. Except maybe you want to go to British Columbia and get a job offer in British Columbia to qualify for their British Columbia provincial nomination under the tech talent pathway. For Ontario, I don't know where you are. I'm just assuming that you're in Ontario. If you're in Ontario for a long time now, they've not done any draw for tech talents. So if you're in Ontario, it's either you pivot to one of the occupations in demand, or you move to another province, especially if you have enough time for your work permit. If your work permit is you still have, let's say, 1 year, 2 years for your work permit, right? you can move to another province. Don't remain in Ontario and then you get yourself disqualified for waiting for the tech draw in Ontario. Okay. Is it advisable to come to Canada to study for a master's? I think I've answered this question already. And I mentioned that you should go for McMaster instead. Okay, I think I didn't answer this question because it was not clear. Okay. So she got study visa, she got it since last year. You mean since last year, 2023? We are already in 2024. Admission was withdrawn by NBCC. And she applied to CNA college and was also given, but due to change of DLI issue, she decided to change route. Okay, so change of DLI issue. If she's already in Canada, there was a new announcement that was made. Is she already in Canada? Your question is not clear. Is she already in Canada or is she still outside Canada? I need to know. Okay. Almost a decade. My channel is not up to 10 years old. My channel is not up to 10 years old. I've not been in Canada up to 10 years old. I just celebrated my 8 years anniversary in Canada. So anyway, a 31-year single with masters from Nigeria. What is your occupation? Please tell me what your occupation is so that I can tell you what to do. Thank you. Okay, I have a family member in Manitoba and expecting the relative in Manitoba draw for skilled workers. Will they still conduct this draw this year? So I'll be sincere with you. Manitoba for a while, they had a lot of backlog of applications. So they decided to pause inviting people from outside Canada so that they can focus on the people inside Manitoba. And because of that, they now had an agreement with IRCC to extend people's work permit for 2 years. So if you ask me if they will still conduct a draw this year for families outside, I am not sure, because the ones that they did since last year, they've not even given them provincial nomination yet. And they have a slot for 9,000 people. And for that 9,000 slot, they want to make sure that people who are in Manitoba are able to get their provincial nomination, right? Before they will now consider the people who are outside. So people who got invited, that's they got letter of advice since last year, applied since last year, a lot of them have not gotten nomination till now. And that is because of the current situation of them trying to consider people who are inside first before they look out for people who are outside. So I would say still remain in the pool still remain in the pool. If they exhaust the slots that was given to them this year and they still have slots remaining, then they will now consider people who are outside. But like I said, they are considering people who are inside more than people who are outside, but still remain in the pool anyway. Okay, so does accountant require licensing? I have 4 years work experience in health and admin assistant, but no certificate. Can I still work as a personal support worker? 4 years work experience in health and admin assistant, but no certificate. Can you work as a personal support worker? So it depends on the province. Most provinces will require some form of certificate. If you notice, people who are in Canada, a lot of them are going back to go and get their PSW certificates. So if you're not in Canada and you don't have a PSW certificate, it's very difficult for you to get a job offer. Accounting does not require, you can work as an accountant, right? But CPA, for you to be, as an accountant, you can work as a bookkeeper. But if you really want to bear the name chartered professional accountant, then you need to get your CPA. Unfortunately, ICANN is not yet recognized in Canada, but What's the other one? The one for UK body. What do they call that? Is 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 dropping in my head, but I don't. It's not coming out from my mouth. I'll remember it anyway. So the version of ICANN in the UK is recognized, but the ICANN is not recognized in Canada. So if you don't have ICANN, you cannot work as an accountant, but you can work as a bookkeeper. You can work in other capacity, right? You cannot claim to be a chartered professional accountant. So you have to work towards getting your CPA. Okay, can a US-based nursing assistant with a certificate in the US get permanent residence in Canada? Yes. If you're a US-based nursing assistant with a certificate in the US, you can get permanent residence in Canada. If you're able to create your express entry profile, you qualify for the healthcare draw or healthcare category-based draw. If you're not able to create your express entry profile, you can get a job offer from provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta. If you get a job offer, you qualify for provincial nomination. If you also get a job offer from the Atlantic provinces like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Labrador, I'm very slow in mentioning PEI because PEI is very small community. But Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland and Labrador, if you get a job offer under the Atlantic Immigration Program, you also qualify to apply for permanent residence. So you can apply for permanent residence with your qualification from the US. Any age range for the nursing assistant? No, there's no age range as long as it is Atlantic Immigration Program. If it is express entry category-based draw, there's an age range. But AIP, matured candidates between the age of 18 to 55 years, you can apply for PR because that pathway is actually tied to a job offer. So what you need to do is get a job offer from any of the employers that are designated under the Atlantic Immigration Program, and then you can apply for permanent residence. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. I just have 9 more minutes, please. Okay, migrate as a fashion designer, tailor. Sadly, the opportunity that was open for tailors was only in Saskatchewan. Okay, it depends. Okay, yeah, Ontario actually has industrial sewing machine operators as one of the occupations in demand in Ontario. Ontario has it. So Ontario is the only province that has industrial sewing machine operators. So if you can operate an industrial sewing machine, and if you're able to get a job offer in Ontario, you qualify for the Ontario Occupation in Demand stream. So typically, you have to evaluate your credential, write the language exam, and then get a job offer with any employer for you to qualify for the OIMP in demand stream. Okay. So did my postgraduate in BC and working in healthcare for 2 years. My BC PMP application was declined. I used my employer information for my NOC 42201, but now told it matches the criteria 44101. So check your, so I'm so sorry that your BC PMP was denied. Check your nomination. Is it still valid? Right? Okay, so you said your BC PMP application was denied. So you can actually reapply again, correct the 44101 tier code and reapply again. Correct it and reapply again. Okay. For a student of 1-year master program in New Brunswick, can a spouse get an open work permit? Yes, as long as it's a master's program, right? Your spouse can get a spousal open work permit. As long as it's a master's program. If it's not a master's program, then your spouse is not eligible. Okay. BSc Educhemic in Nigeria, finish my postgrad diploma, have 6 years teaching maths, basic science, learn and worked as a carpenter. So if you're working as a carpenter, you actually qualify for the category-based draw for trades. That's what you qualify for. I don't know you are 6 months experience as a carpenter. So if you're able to create your express entry profile, you qualify for trades category. And even Ontario is also going into the express entry pool to pick people up from that's to give people notification of interest for trades. So if you've not written your CELPIP exam or your language exam, I would say you should write it and evaluate your credential and then get into the pool. Let's see what your scores will be if your scores are high enough to be selected for the trades category. Okay. Okay, the investment option of bringing fresh funds to CA will be preferable via provincial nomination. Interested parties well over 55 with a family of 6. What would be your advice? Okay, can we talk later? Maybe call me later this evening. Let's talk. But if they are coming to bring in fresh funds to start a business, they need to have at least 150,000 Canadian dollars if they are going to a remote location in Manitoba. I don't know whether the person is interested in Manitoba. I'm just using Manitoba as an example, you know. But if the person wants a cheaper option is in British Columbia. That's British Columbia entrepreneurial stream, regional entrepreneurial stream. BC and Alberta, they have a regional entrepreneurial stream that requires $100,000 investment. Now, I'm going to explain the investment part because a lot of people think, oh, you just bring the $100,000 at once, bang, yeah, you get provincial nomination. It doesn't work like that. So for British Columbia, they have selected communities that they have selected, and those communities, they have listed the kind of businesses they want in their community. Meaning, you cannot come and just say you want to do A. It is the community that decides the kind of business that you will come and do, and they have the list of the businesses that can be done in those communities. So it is left for the person who is interested to go through the list and see if they are interested in the businesses that the community have chosen. So community A can say we are interested in somebody coming to establish a laundromat. Community B might say we are interested in somebody coming to establish a hotel or a guest house. You know, so each community, they have their own need, they have their own request. Now, if this person is able to invest 100,000, the $100,000 is not the money that he will pour in at once. It's a function of him, right? Let's say renting a space. The cost of renting a space might be 20,000. The cost of let's say buying inventories. Let's say the person wants to open a grocery store. Buying inventory for the grocery store, maybe 20,000. Buying this licensing for the province, that's business licensing requirements, maybe 30,000. So all those amounts combined together, as long as it meets $100,000, then the person qualifies to apply for what do you call it now? The provincial nomination under the business immigration stream. So, like I said, it is not money that you pour in at once. You pour it in bit by bit. And for this person to be accepted, the person needs to come for an exploratory visit first. So the person needs to come and visit the community, and after visiting the community, if the person likes the community, the person can go ahead and apply for what you call endorsement. With that endorsement, they apply for work permit, and then the person can start investing. After investing in the business for 1 year, and then there's a residency requirement. The person must live in that community for 75% of the time. The person must be there, and the person must be able to hire one person to be working as in one Canadian permanent resident. That's create a job for one Canadian permanent resident or one Canadian citizen to be eligible to apply for provincial nomination. So that is for British Columbia. For Manitoba, if the person wants to stay in the city center, it's $250,000 investment. But if it's outside the city center, it's about $150,000. So I would say we should have a proper conversation because, I mean, this forum is just too small for me to give all the details. I'm just summarizing it bit by bit. Okay. Yeah, ACCA. Thank you so much. Yes, I wanted to mention, yeah, ACCA. I knew it was A, but I couldn't get the other part. ACCA, thank you so much. So the version of ICANN is ACCA. So ACCA is accepted in Canada. If you have ACCA in Nigeria or from anywhere, if you come in, you can just do 1 or 2 exams, like the Canadian tax exam and one other exam for you to qualify as a CPA in Canada. once you qualify as a CPA in Canada, it's also recognized in the US. So that's the beauty of you getting a CPA from Canada. But ICANN, unfortunately, is not recognized. Okay. I have just 1 minute and I will end this session. I've been talking for 1 hour, 30 minutes. Please bear with me. Okay. SRMP draws express entry linked and OID categories has been very minimal. Total of 250 ITA approximately since January 2024 to date. Please, what is the reason? So Saskatchewan has been doing a lot of evaluation on the provincial nominations that they issued over the years. And one of my clients that actually got Saskatchewan provincial nomination under the Hard to Fill Skills pilot, they sent her an email to get some confirmation that she was still living in the province. So what happened was that a lot of people just use some of these provinces to get status and then they go, and it's frustrating when a province is trying to build their population, right? They are trying to build their population and some people are using them to just gain status and then move elsewhere. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I think I did a video about somebody who got a PR through RNIP and the person wants to leave. So because of that, they have been sending emails and then trying to evaluate, okay, so what's the success of this pathway? How many people are staying? Are these people just using us to get status and leaving? What do we do? That's the evaluation that has made it reduced, that made it difficult, or a reduced what do you call it now, invitation for Saskatchewan. Although the nomination slot is about 6,000, but how many have they given out? So that evaluation made them to pause a lot of immigration pathways. The Hard to Fill Skills pilot was paused or totally scrapped, not paused. They scrapped it out. Then they now introduced the agri talent pathway and the health talent pathway in addition to the ones that they have. So for right now, they're actually focused on the current pathways that they've introduced. So we don't know when they will finish their evaluation. And if you go to their website, you will see a lot of announcements on their website. We don't know when they will finish all their evaluation, and we don't know when they will start issuing invitations again. Okay. So I'm 45 years old, younger sister in Alberta. I have my master's degree in theology, and I'm looking at applying as a religious worker with a plan of. Sorry, I don't have your full question. But if you have your younger sister in Alberta is the only province that has a pathway for religious workers. So if you're working as a pastor or as a religious worker in Alberta, you actually qualify for provincial nomination. Alberta is the only province that has a pathway for religious workers. If you can get a job offer in Alberta, it will help you. And considering that your sister is in Alberta, it will also help you as well. Okay, I think I've answered this question. Let me answer this one more question and then I'll wrap it for today. Please bear with me. If I couldn't answer your question, please bear with me. We will do another live next week, Sunday. Please bear with me. And if I didn't answer your question, please come on the live for next week, Sunday, early, so that I can answer your question before I start taking fresh questions. Okay. I graduated this from CBU, worked as a data analyst student position for 2 years of my study, had a baby a month ago on maternity leave. My husband gets his application approved too. Did you do masters in data analysis or just a certificate or diploma program as a data analyst? I need to know. Is it masters or certificate or diploma? If it is masters and you're graduating this December, then your husband can apply for spousal open work permit based on your current status as a student, especially if you've not got your letter of completion yet. But the moment you get a letter of completion, it means that if you graduated from a master's program, it means that you need to get a job offer for your husband to be able to apply for a spousal open work permit. Okay, so I think I'll call it a day for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please bear with me if I didn't answer your question. I'm so sorry. The time just flew. Like, I was just talking, I didn't know when the time just flew. I'm so sorry. Please bear with me. We will meet again next week Sunday for another YouTube live, and then you can bring your questions and I'll try to answer them as much as I can. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if I didn't answer your question, please bear with me. And please, I'll try as much as possible to put those details that I mentioned that I was going to put on the community tab so that you can have them. I know that I mentioned the international recruitment for nursing assistants, healthcare workers in Nova Scotia. I mentioned that. What else did I mention again? I can't remember. I've been talking. I can't remember again. I can't remember. Please, what else did I mention again? Please remind me. I can't remember what else I mentioned that I was going to put in the community tab. Okay, so the only one I remember, please, if you can remind me. Okay, I'll watch this video again, and then I will, the things I said I will put in the community tab, I'll put it in the community tab. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a good evening. Thank you so much.